You're watching Bears Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Harrison Graham. It is mailbag time, so load up your questions by super chatting or by using hashtag Bears. We'll start today's show with Lucas. I still think this is a negotiation tactic, talking about Roquan requesting a trade, but I'm confused why Poles refuses to pay the best player on the team. I'm still happy he doesn't just throw away money at players, but come on, Poles. That's kind of where I'm at. I can respect him being a business savvy and not wanting to overpay, but when you have elite level players, you just pay him and you just accept it. Like, he's not going to be the highest paid guy a year from now, probably, if you pay him now. So pay Roquan. That's the best case scenario here. But they clearly have their reasons what they're doing, why they're doing what they're doing. We just don't know exactly what those reasons are. Riley Zwarda, Roquan Smith for DK Metcalf. Get Justin some help, although I don't know if Poles will still want to pay DK too much either. Well, DK got paid by Seattle, so I don't think he's getting traded. It doesn't make it impossible, but makes it very unlikely. If you were going to go that route, you probably would have had to do it a couple months ago to trade Roquan straight up for, a DK, a Terry McLaurin, a Deebo Samuel. All those guys have been paid now, so I don't think a one-for-one swap for one of those star receivers is going to happen. Could you get a second-tier receiver plus a draft pick? Like I was just, earlier I was thinking, what about like Robbie Anderson in a second from Carolina from Roquan? Would you do that? I don't know. I'd rather just keep Roquan, but all those star receivers that could have been traded potentially have now been paid, so that becomes a little more difficult. Be sure to subscribe to Bears Now because we will continue to cover the latest on Roquan Smith and everything else going on with the Chicago Bears at training camp. Preseason game coming up this weekend against the Chiefs. A lot happening, and it's happening very quickly. So subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and we will have you covered throughout training camp. Let's go to Zach here. Wolchinski? Is this Zolchinski's cousin? I've been a Bears fan for 20 years, and I'm 28, and if the Bears don't keep Roquan at a reasonable price, I'll have to switch franchises. I seriously can't understand why they'd lowball a pillar like him. Look, I'm not going to go as far as saying any fan should just bail on a team if this happens, but I understand where y'all are coming from. I mean, this is not the way you handle a player like this, in my opinion. Now, every GM and front office has their own philosophies. They have their own reasons. New regimes can, gut the team if they want to. But again, when you take over a franchise, you evaluate the roster. And to me, it's a pretty clear evaluation that Roquan Smith is currently the best player on this team. Now, hopefully, you're hoping long-term that's Justin Fields. But right now, it's Roquan Smith. You keep that guy. You pay that guy. He's young. It's not like he's 30. If he was 30, I would understand. Honestly, if he was 30, he probably would have been traded already based on how Poles has been operating. But I'm with you, man. This is a player you pay and you keep around in Chicago. Darius Simpson, this hurts, man, but let's think logically. If we can get a first with the high-caliber wide receiver back for him, that'll help Fields a ton. If not, a wide receiver that a solid left tackle would make me happy. I mean, yeah, look, we can talk about that side of it. If they go through a trade, I don't want anything less than a first-round pick. He was a top 10 pick and has lived up to that. You probably won't get a top 10 pick, but a first-round pick. Or I want a high-level receiver or offensive tackle if you want to do a player trade. Otherwise, I'm not doing it. If he gets traded for a second, that'll be underwhelming. That would be pretty disappointing for Chicago. The Duke, not a mistake. This is a win for the Bears. Harvest draft cap for him, and since we will be worse without him, we will probably get a top 5 pick next year. I see what you're saying. I mean, you could trade him for a first and then tank, and then you've got a top 5 pick and another first, but this team isn't going to tank. Eberflus isn't wired that way. They're going to play hard every week, and they're going to play to win. Now, they may not win a bunch of games, especially if they trade Roquan. I mean, that'll be a big hit, especially to the defense, although still like a lot of the pieces on the defense, but Roquan kind of makes it all go. I get that logic, but I just don't like that ideology. I just don't like operating like that. Just trade him, get a pick, and we'll suck this year and we'll try again next year. I don't think these young players are in a position to just accept not being good. I don't think that's where the Bears are right now. Michael, what trade value does Roquan have? Hard to say. I mean, again, I think a first-round pick is what I would want. I'm not crazy. I don't think you'll get multiple firsts, but a first, I guess like 2 seconds could be an option as well. I would rather just have a first, maybe like a second and a player, like I said, a second-tier type receiver, like a second in Robbie Anderson, I don't know, if Deontay Johnson hadn't gotten paid, I would have said maybe like a third in Deontay Johnson, something like that. But I think you can get a first for him. I really do. Now, him requesting a trade probably doesn't help the Bears' value publicly, but the Bears still have leverage. They have this year. They can tag him for up to 3 years, too. So they've still got control over Roquan. But, yeah, I mean, I'm just guessing, but I think you could get a first for him. Be sure to follow us on the Callin app as, by the way, if you're watching live currently here on Tuesday morning, we will go ahead and go live on Callin, and you guys can sound off verbally with your voices on this situation. Your chance to call into the show. It's like Twitter Spaces, but it's got a few more cool features like a live chat feature and a couple other things as well. So subscribe and join us. It's chatsports.com/BearsCallin, chatsports.com/BearsCallin. Download the app on iOS and Android. That is key. A lot of you guys are like, I went to the link, I couldn't figure it out. Like, you can go to it on your computer, but you can't actually call in through your computer, even with the headset. So you got to download the app and then find us over there. So download on iOS and Android, search Bears Now, and you will be able to find us. Mustafa Poles wants a bunch of hard-nosed third stringers. That's pretty funny. Get in here, Matt Adams. You're going to play hard. Yeah, you need some blue-chip players, and that's what Roquan Smith is. Vibing with the 5. Appreciate that. Is this how Pole's going to treat everyone? He's so cheap. I can't believe I'm a fan of this team. I mean, yeah, that's kind of what I was just saying. You know, I like a GM that is patient and business savvy, but you can't lowball. You can't just start lowballing everyone either. Like, that's not productive at the end of the day. So you got to figure out a balance there because again, this is a player you pay in Roquan Smith. Shout out your city. Let us know where you guys are tuning in from. We are here in Dallas, Texas. If you guys are in the Chicago area, let us know. Let us know what suburb you are in or anywhere across the U.S. or the world. Let us know where you guys are watching from. We got Christopher Elder in the chat, $10 super. Appreciate that. Every $100 we get, we will take a shot. I'm guessing Roquan is trying to reset the linebacker market. If that is the case, trade him. Poles not overpay. We've got the graphic here of the highest paid linebackers. This is kind of what it looks like. Forget Mosley, Cunningham, and Jones because Roquan's better than all of them. I mean, say Roquan's asking for $20 million a year. I mean, is that really that crazy of a request? Sure, you could say Darius Leonard, Shaquille Leonard, whatever, Fred Warner are better than Roquan, but if they are, it's minute. It's very, very close, and this is how it works. If you're in the ballpark of the best, typically you reset the market. And then when those guys are up, they get paid more. When Devin White's up, he's going to reset it, etc. So I get what you're saying, but like 5 years, $100 million with $60 guaranteed, are we really going to be like, oh my God, that's a drastic overpay? Jordan Smith, the team offered us a premier bona fide number 1, number 2 receiver or a premier O-lineman plus a mid-round pick. I'd send Roquan today. Poles is running this team like a modern NFL team. Love it. Best player on a bad team. I hear what you're saying, but I will continue to say that an elite unicorn off-ball linebacker is irreplaceable on a defense. Sure, like I'm with you. Like if you get an elite receiver in like a mid-round pick, like yeah, I would absolutely consider that. But you know what you have in Roquan. Nothing's guaranteed when you bring another player into your system. So I see both sides of it, but I still think the easiest path is just pay the guy personally. But we'll see what happens. Get the bear downs flowing in the comments. This is obviously a tough situation with Roquan, but, the fan base has to rally. Bear down, use the emojis, or type out the word. Let's get the positive vibes rolling here on the show. More super chats from Sealand FAF. Assuming Roquan gets dealt, what free agent options do we have? I mean, the Bears just signed a couple of low-tier linebackers, Javen White, DeMarquise Gates, who played in the USFL. I did a video on him. Go check it out. But, I mean, there's still guys like Anthony Hitchens out there. Recently, Anthony Barr got signed. Otherwise, I'd be interested in him. Yeah, I mean, it's, obviously, I'm not saying that you're saying this, but obviously you're not replacing Roquan. Like, you're hoping if you trade him, you probably sign one or two stopgap guys and you roll with what you got. Hey, Nick Morrow, you better have a hell of a year, buddy, because Roquan may not be here anymore.